Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time, hi, my name is Sophia. I am creating content on how to level up financially, giving you tools, education, knowledge, tips, resources, literally everything you need to elevate your finances, create more income sources, and feel more secure in your life and about your future. So if this resonates with you, go ahead and subscribe. Today we'll talk about how to become part of 1%er Club. As I was making notes and preparing for this video, I realized that it has little to do with what you do, what steps you take, what industry you're in, and everything to do, or a lot to do, with your mindset, the way you perceive things, the way you make decisions, and just your day-to-day thoughts and how you go about life. And I will explain those things in this video. And towards the end of this video, I will share with you guys the ultimate success formula, the 3 things that it takes in order to succeed in life really fast. So I personally became a 6-figure earner at 21, which has put me in 1%er earners for my age group in Canada. And sure, I worked hard for it. I needed to take risks and push myself out of my comfort zone. All of this, yes, and you already know these things. It's like, has become so repetitive. You all know that in order to be successful, you need to do these things. But what are the next level things? What are not so obvious things that successful people do, rich, wealthy people do, that average people don't? Let's talk about it. When it comes to decision making, average people oftentimes make decisions out of fear. They wouldn't quit their job that they hate out of fear of not being able to find another one, or that they are not good enough to get something better, be treated better, be paid more fairly. Or for example, they wouldn't invest into themselves, into their knowledge, or improving their skills because there is a fear that what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't pay off? What I have already is comfortable. I'm just going to stick with what I have. You see, rich people, wealthy people, successful people, they think differently. They never make decisions out of fear, but they make decisions out of logic, inspiration, and they're willing to take risk when it makes sense, meaning they take calculated risks, not just any risk. I'm not trying to say that rich people don't have fear, they don't experience these normal human emotions that all of us have. Of course they do. It's just that they don't keep it in the equation when it comes to making some important or even unimportant decisions. For example, when I was starting my business at 21, I was living paycheck to paycheck at the time. I needed about $2,000 to get into this business as an initial investment. And part of me was really scared. Was like, what if I lose this money? What if this doesn't pay off? Am I even good enough to understand or figure it out or be able to be successful in life? That was my fearful side speaking. My logical, pragmatic side that was willing to take calculated risk was looking at this situation from a different angle. I was telling myself, okay, well, what is the best case scenario and what is the worst case scenario if I make this decision? The worst case scenario, I lose my initial investment, $2,000. Sure, it could be seen as a big deal, but if you look at the large picture, I'm gonna make this money back within a month or 2. I'm going to replenish my savings within 6 to 12 months. And definitely in a year from now, I will look back and be like, this decision didn't affect my life whatsoever in a long term. This is worst case scenario. The best case scenario is I make this decision, I start achieving my financial goals, I start moving forward, I'm able to quit my job, create financially free and abundant life. I can travel every month, I can provide for my family and just live the life I've always dreamed of. Build generational wealth, become the first millionaire in my family, etc., etc. All these opportunities open up to me if I make this decision. And the reason I was sure that it was possible for me in the first place is because the people who have done this business or are working within this field, I saw them achieve exactly that. Become successful, accomplished, financially wealthy individuals on their early 20s or 30s. And I was like, if they could do it following the same system, I can as well. So I had all the reasons to believe that this is possible, and this is potentially could be my best case scenario. If I look at these two potentials, I'm like, of course it makes sense for me to go for it, because the best case scenario is so much better than the worst case scenario. I obviously should go for it, and that's what we call calculated risk. Well, for the majority of people, the moment they look at the price, they get scared. They're like, no way I'm gonna do it, and they leave. That's how most people think. If you want to be successful in life, start making decisions out of logic, inspiration, and calculated risk. The reason I say inspiration is because sometimes logic tells you that maybe it's not the best idea, but there is this voice inside of you that is telling you, yes, do it. Try it, it's worth it, you're meant for more, you can live up to your fullest potential by doing this. And there's a lot of decisions in my life that I made listening to that voice and not listening to logic 100% of the time. But nevertheless, I never take more risk than I'm willing and capable to handle. So that's something to keep in mind. Next thing that rich people do, but average people don't, is that rich, successful people, they have long-term vision. They plan years ahead, while most people plan for their week, maximum their month. I remember I was attending this training with my mentor, and he's a 7-figure earner, meaning he makes $100,000 a month and more. And he was telling, it was beginning of the year, I think January 2022, he was telling us how he had planned every single month of that year still in January. He knew exactly what he was going to do, what campaigns he was going to run for his business, what countries he was going to travel to for business and events host and things like that. He had planned every single month, and then he had a more general vision for the years ahead, what business moves he was going to make, what industries he wanted to expand into, etc. And I was listening to this, I was like, that's crazy. I never plan more than like a month ahead. I usually go like just day to day, trying to survive and keep whatever I have afloat. That's not how rich, successful people go about their life. They plan ahead, they know what's the vision for their life, and if you ask them where they want to be in 5 years from now and what is their plan to get there, they're probably going to give you a pretty specific answer, while most people don't even think about that. So I want you to ask yourself right now, do you have a vision for 5-10 years ahead, where you want to be, how you want to live, where do you want to work? Do you want to be still trading your time for money, or do you want a business or investments paying for your living expenses? Do you want to travel? Do you want to have a home? Do you want to have a family? And of course, you are not necessarily going to make this all happen the way you planned. It's very rare that life plays out the way we planned it. But when you have this general vision, you kind of have a direction. Otherwise, where are you going? What is your direction? Like, if you know that in 5-10 years from now you want to be financially free, you don't want to work a job, you want to have investments, etc. So you want to have a family, maybe buy a house, maybe have a lot of real estate and assets that support your living, then I promise you this vision will affect your day-to-day decision making. Next time your friends call you to go to the club on a Saturday night, you're probably gonna be like, well, does this support the person that I'm trying to become? Maybe I would rather stay home and read a book on investing or something like this, or watch this YouTube video, so that you can start implementing this type of mindset shifts and habits and routines and thought process into your life. Sorry, I had to close the blinds. It gets very sunny in my place, like later in the afternoon. Anyways, next thing that rich people do and average people don't is instant gratification. It definitely has to do with the last point where I was saying that they have a long-term vision. Because usually when you fall into instant gratification, it's because you don't have a certain goal you're working towards. It's so much easier to delay gratification when you have a very specific thing that you're working towards and it gets you excited. So you don't mind giving up a little pleasure right now for a big pleasure later. The reason most people have hard time delaying gratification is because their current lives don't have enough of stimulation and emotional reward. So they reward themselves by spending all of the money they make, by overeating or indulging into some bad habits like scrolling or smoking or going out too much, excessive drinking, etc. Let's take an example of an average person who has a 9 to 5 that they mildly hate. And this is, by the way, a statistic. Over 80% of people, close to 90, they hate or dislike their job. So it's a very little percentage of people that actually like or love their job. If you are one of those people, consider yourself very lucky, because this is rare. If an average person hates their job, then every day they need to wake up at the time they don't want to wake up at, let's say 6 a.m., to commute to work 8 hours, 9 hours a day, doing stuff they don't like, they don't enjoy, dealing with people they don't want to be around, just to come back home exhausted, not have time to take care of yourself, because now you have to cook and clean and do other chores, you have responsibility towards your family, you don't have time to relax, take care of yourself, do something pleasant for yourself. And then next day you have to do it all over again, and you trade 5 days a week for 2 days off that you spend on a couch scrolling because you simply don't have any energy for hobbies or connecting with people. Because on Monday you have to do it all over again, and you already think about how it's gonna feel, how miserable you're gonna be, and how you see no end to this type of life. So if this is a life of an average person, no wonder the moment they have a chance to create some type of pleasure in their lives, they're going to do it, even if they think and they know ultimately that this is not the best idea. I was in that same position 3 years ago when I started my business, and that's exactly what forced me to look for other ways to make money, because I just couldn't see myself living like this for 40 years of my life. That's crazy. I started my online business and it took some time, but it all paid off. Now I'm living the life of freedom. Now I am financially comfortable. I don't have to work. I can do whatever I want with my time. I work out of inspiration because I want to share my gifts with the world. I want to help people, instead of working out of desperation, out of need for money. And in my case, it took me about a year or so to create this lifestyle. But even if it took me 10 years, it's still ultimately worth it, because that saves me 30 years of having to work for somebody else. And because I created the lifestyle where I enjoy most of it and not only parts of it, and I have a vision of where I'm going, how I want my wealth to look like, my lifestyle to look like, I am driven by that vision. And it's so easy to say no to little things on a daily basis, be more disciplined, because my excitement for where I'm going is a lot bigger than that satisfaction that I would get from instant gratification. Now, as I promised, here is the formula that allowed me to achieve relatively fast success on my early 20s. And it's because I figured out these 3 things that lead to success. It's really that simple. You need the right vehicle, plus good work ethic, plus the right mindset. If you have figured out all 3, you're going to be successful. Maybe it's not necessarily going to happen as fast, but it is inevitable. Honestly, if you have the right mindset, you remove your limiting beliefs and you rewire your thinking to think like successful people, most of the work is already done. Then if you add to it good work ethic, where you can stick with your routines and habits and be disciplined on a daily basis to do what it takes to build a certain life for yourself, now you have most of what it takes to succeed. However, this last part, a lot of people neglect. It's the vehicle. If you don't have the vehicle that allows you to scale and exponentially grow your business or your income, you always will be capped. You can be the most talented and disciplined and with the right mindset type of person. if you're in a workspace that caps your income, that only allows you to earn if you are trading your time for money, if you don't have any ownership in the business, meaning that your work that you do today will keep paying you even after you stop working. These things are important to keep in mind, because that's what ultimately will create the life of financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like the video, comment, and I'll see you in the next one.